Hello, Ravens fans, and welcome to another season preview. I'm Aaron Schneider, the Sports Information Director at Anderson University, and joining us for our tennis season previews, head coach Matt Moore. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Aaron. How are you?
Good. So to kick things off, before we start diving into the rest of this year, let's talk about your HCAC Invitational you had at Transylvania last month. Um, we got a few wins out of there. We had Um, we had Megan Long, we had Claire Hannaford, we had Parker Bradley each pick up some wins. If you can talk a little bit about how you thought the your team did at the meet to start the year.
Yeah, so it really was a great opportunity for us to get inside and to get some competitive matches under our belt. So the unique thing about our team, especially on the men's side, is we have a lot of sophomores that are starters for us. So, and this was really for many of them their first true college tennis match, even though they're sophomores because of the pandemic canceling their season last year. So I was extremely pleased with how both teams competed. How they came out, they played with good mental poise, and I think that they illustrated to the other top teams in our conference that we have the ability to compete for not only a conference championship, but for also a lot of individual titles as well.
Right, and one of the things I did want to address, at least with the men's team specifically. We saw the success with our women last fall, but with the men, uh, we had we had quite the recruiting class come in for that spring of 2020 that really didn't get to showcase a step forward that we made. We were in the 2019 season, we got the number 16 made the conference tournament, but but um, with that recruiting class, we were going to make a pretty notable step forward in the conference that we didn't get to see because of the pandemic. So now, uh, so I would think that would be one of the things we're hoping to see this year.
No, absolutely. So they've worked really hard throughout the fall season with their training and with their preparation. Unfortunately, at that invitational, we were without two of our top six players. So we were playing a little bit down, but even playing down and having individuals step up into positions that they typically would not play. I thought we competed well. We had a couple of three-set matches against Transylvania. On the women's side, we had, I think, three-set matches against them. So I think Transylvania came in or is currently rated as the favorite to win conference this year. So it showed that we have the opportunity to compete with the top teams.
Okay, looking for this year, we were actually on the women's end, we were actually picked second in the preseason poll behind Transylvania, and we had, and then I've already talked about as far as with the men. What would you say that your goals / expectations for the teams are this year?
I don't honestly pay a whole lot of attention to polls. So, I mean, to me,
Okay, well, I would say just in general, I would say.
yeah, so I mean, I think in general, our attitude has remained the same throughout our preparation in the fall as it will be in the spring. That is to go out there to execute our technique as well as we can, to play tactical tennis, to ensure that we are physically stronger than our opponents from the conditioning standpoint and ensure that we're playing with a leveled head on our shoulders. And we really try to embrace that mentality that one deep breath can change it from a reaction to a positive action. So, I mean, making sure that we're playing with composure and, able to manage and to handle the ebbs and flows that come with the competitive tennis match.
Okay, and then what would you say your team strengths are?
I think our biggest strengths is our depth. So, I mean, we are really from both sides have got players from the top of the lineup down to the bottom of the lineup that could step into big matches and could pick up victories for us. And the other thing that we worked really hard on during the off season is trying to improve our consistency and being able to use consistency as a way to set up and to establish control of points. So, and at this point, as we make that transition into match play, it'll be interesting to see how well we can handle the consistency component, but then taking it one step further and making sure that we're executing on the short balls, the swinging volleys, the high volleys, and being able to put away the points.
Right, and that was, and then talking about that depth is when we saw for the women last year, that was certainly a theme where we were consistently picking up those points at the 4, 5, and 6, and when people would have to miss a match with where we'd be down one or two people with injuries, there even our 7, 8, and 9 were strong enough where they could play the 5 or 6 and still get the wins out of that.
Absolutely.
So looking at for this year for our returners, what would you say what returners you expect to make an impact for this year?
So on the women's side, I mean, I'm really excited to have Claire Miller back. So Claire could have graduated at semester and decided to take some classes so that she could continue and to finish out her senior year. So I'm excited to have Claire. I think Claire will be a strong anchor for us in that one singles position. I'm also really excited to have Anna Creech back. I know that she saw a lot of action in the lineup last year, but we've got some new faces, especially in Jenna Kuntz and Maddie Brown, that I think will step in and do really well for us, sort of in that 3-4 position. And then first year perspective, and we've got two really strong first year players that are in. I think Megan Long will certainly see some action in singles, and Claire Hannaford has proven to be a really solid doubles option for us as well. On the men's side of it, it's going to be a lot of new faces for Anderson tennis. I think we'll probably end up with 4, if not 5 sophomores in our starting 6. So Seth Nation is our team captain, obviously one of our returning players that has seen some match action in the past. So I look for him to step up in a big leadership role and to likely play towards the top of the lineup. But, players like Colton Stevens or Corey Evans, Sam Songer, Peter Hollum, I mean, those are kids that really are looking to step up and to play big this year, even though, they're going to be newer to the lineup and newer to the college tennis scene.
Okay. And then, so we have a couple of matches to look ahead to. First, we got a standalone women's match against IU-Kokomo, who last year that was a grinder. If you hadn't seen, that was we won that match 5-4. It was a 3.5 hour match. So going in for this year's match, what would you say? What are your expectations out of IU-Kokomo?
I mean, I think IU-Kokomo historically has a really strong program. I know they've got some really strong talent towards the top of their lineup. I think we're going to have to play exceptionally well to be able to win in those top 3 positions. I think once we get past those top 3 positions, it kind of starts to level out a little bit. So, I mean, I think we're going to have to pick up big wins on the singles end towards the bottom of the lineup. And I also think we're going to have to execute really well in doubles to try to capture some of the doubles points as well.
Yeah, that was something last year. I believe we had a 2-1 deficit, and we coming out of doubles, and we rallied to get that win. And then following that, both teams take on Midway next week. What would you say your expectations out of those matches are?
I don't honestly know a ton about Midway. So we're in the process now of trying to figure out as much as we can about their programs. I feel confident in that match that if we're able to execute the way that I've seen us execute in practices and, the HCAC invite that we just competed in a couple of weekends ago, that we'll be in a really strong position there. And I certainly think against a school like Midway, trying to get early control of the matches will be really important to try to establish, the dominant side that I think we can bring to it, and then to be able to ride that momentum to a victory.
All right. And then finally, what does your teams need to do this year to be successful?
I think we've demonstrated it so far. So I think that we've got to continue to remain flexible. I mean, obviously, this year has taught all of us quite a bit about patience and flexibility and, showing a lot of resilience. And I think the characteristics that we've learned throughout this pandemic year certainly transfer to sport as well. So we've tried our best to take the life lessons that have been taught to us by something that is sad and horrible, and to try to find ways to grow as individuals and as a team from it. And I'm looking forward to seeing our players go out there and to maintain their spiritual faith, to be able to work and to demonstrate the things that we've gone over in practice day in and day out, as far as pattern play and doubles formations and working on the percentage shots and those types of things into a match situation. And ultimately, if we go out and we execute the game plans that we've established, we're going to be competitive in all of our matches. So, and at that point, to me, it boils down to who's the more physical team and who's the more mental team. So, and those are things that I think we've worked really hard on this year to try to bolster our physical endurance and our stability, and also to ensure that we've got a good mental head on our shoulder as well too. So I'm optimistic. I'm confident. I think that it's going to be a great year for Anderson tennis and a great opportunity for some of our players to really step into new positions and to establish themselves as strong runners for the future.
All right. Well, I think I've covered the questions I wanted to. Ravens fans, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to follow along with any more season previews and any other content we may be putting out. Of course, be sure to follow along with your Ravens tennis team and see how they compete for this year. Coach Moore, thank you for joining us and good luck this week.
Hey, thanks, Aaron. Have a good one.